you ever found yourself in a situation where you see the perfect shot, but you find yourself having to swim this great big huge circle to get back to exactly the right place where you can see the shot, recompose it perfectly, and you've spent maybe 15 seconds or far longer than you'd like in order to get this perfect recomposed shot? What you're looking at here is a helicopter turn, which is going to be followed by a reverse kick. Divers actually can go in reverse just like a car, and the helicopter turn is a great way to pivot your body around when you've got some precision shooting to do, and you can actually move around just like a camera on a dolly or on a tripod. This kick is about getting low enough to the bottom that you could see a nudibranch. It's also about having extremely good efficiency with your kicking so that you're not going to use up very much air. You're going to be able to stay down a lot longer to continue your search for whatever creatures you're after this day. It's also about not silting your shot up. If you're this close to the bottom, the average photographer has a real issue with not stirring up the bottom using flutter kicks and traditional scuba techniques. Borrowing from the cave diving world and technical diving world, what you're seeing here with Errol is utilizing this kind of a trim and this kind of a frog kick or reverse kick. He can stay just inches from the bottom and never silt up his shots. Errol happens to be wearing double tanks on this dive today. That's actually making it a little bit more difficult for him because the drag is so increased with double tanks. When he wants to go backwards, he has to use quite a bit more thrust to pull himself backwards at any given speed. However, the technique is so effective, you can see even with the double tanks and even with the dry suit, which has a lot of drag, he's able to go backwards with an effortless ease. When you learn this stroke and you're in a wetsuit and traditional setup for a photographer, you want to go into reverse. You can go very fast in reverse if you need to recompose your shot quickly. We chose this wreck at the Blue Heron Bridge because it sits in a place where you have a spectacular macro photography potential, but it also has a very silty bottom, and this also simulates a lot of great photography opportunities throughout South Florida where you could be on a shipwreck or you could be in a rubble zone, and if you're not very careful, you can destroy your own shots in just a few seconds, and you don't always have a minute or 5 minutes for the water to clear up. Utilizing this technique, you can see Errol on this entire dive, and he doesn't touch the bottom once. There's no silting. The visibility stays great. You could do this just as easily. The idea of this video is that you can actually learn this technique on your own you watch Errol, you watch the way that he's pulling his feet back sideways. It's kind of the opposite of a frog kick, the way he does the reverse kick. You watch this enough, you can actually do this on your own without getting instruction. Just keep watching this. We've got a lot of footage here where you can see it. Just try to internalize what he's actually doing and go out and try it, then watch the video again. Ideally, have somebody take a video of you and you can see how you're doing it, and then you can compare it to the shots here. The alternative, of course, is to have a Global Underwater Explorers, or GUE instructor, like Errol, teach you this much faster with a private or a group lesson with 3 or 4 other people in the class, and show you how to do this himself. Part of the GUE instruction typically will involve a video of yourself so that you can actually see what you're doing along with listening to what the instructor has to say about your techniques. But when you actually get to see yourself and see what it is that you're actually doing, you think you're doing one thing, well, when you see the video, sometimes you see that you're doing something a little different. That tends to help people a great deal, so you can learn this stuff much faster. Go to www.sfdj.com for more information. There's a gear and training section that we have in each month. Every issue we have, there's always going to be something that relates to skills that are awesome for recreational divers to have, and it's a GUE type of thing that they'll teach. You don't have to be a tech diver, cave diver. This is just smarter, better ways to do a lot of the fun things that you want to do and just make it a lot easier for you.